So again, I'm walking through this canopied street, and when I was first walking, it's like my goal is like I got to get there 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I had planned it so I would be a couple of hours early, but oh no, I'll tell y'all the outcome of that. But I did make it there in time, just so you know, so no worries. And even better news, I'll tell y'all that in a minute as well too. But walking down this canopy street, all this lush greenery on the right, white alabaster wall on the left. And at first, my concern was this is going to be a dead end, and then I'm going to have to walk all the way back with my broken up, hurt feet. And then I was just like, no, just, go with it. You have this path that you set to follow. Just continue on it. Do the best that you can and make it through to the end. And if you don't, you will have learned your mistakes, and the next time you will try a different way. So, I'm walking, and as I get to the end, I see this big plot of land. Like, there's a humongous house, and it looks, and I think really it's like a farm. I felt like I walked into the country. Imagine that. And that's what I think it was. There was a house in the front and just ginormous amount of land in the back. And my heart just felt embraced immediately, almost like the feeling you got when you were little and you saw those country home sweet home things and that type of thing. My heart just immediately felt like it was being embraced, and um, I had to slow down because God was letting me know I put you here so that you can enjoy this scenery. Enjoy this. Enjoy it. Just relax. So I did. I relaxed. And as I was walking by, there were like 10 dogs. Well, maybe 5 dogs, but they all came running to the fence, different sizes, different shapes. Reminded me of something out of an old Yeller movie. And it just blessed my heart. And I felt like, to me, and I probably won't do this because it would probably weird the people out, like to drop a letter or something and be like, thank you so much for whatever status that you provided for yourself in life, so that people, because I'm sure that's not a street that people walk through, people don't even know it's there probably, and that would just creep them out. So I won't do that. But that's how I felt. But as I walked, all of the houses were like that, all of the land, and it felt like you were in the country, and it was beautiful. And the street was probably only literally half a mile long. So I was disappointed when I came to the end and I saw the big highway, because that was where I was concerned that there may not be a walkway. I might get arrested for be walking somewhere that I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that this was the next step. And I was lucky because I noticed that the street, the highway, whatever, goes by three different names. And the one that was listed on this particular directions, instead of saying John Young Parkway, it said 434. So I was like, okay, maybe there's a side street. And there was. And I walked on the side street for a little bit. And then it turned into another street, a completely different street. And I'm assuming that if the direction said this is the street I need to go on, that the street that it turned into is the street that I should still be on. And so I stopped at a gas station. And at the time I was a bathroom. I was thirsty. So it was great that the gas station was there for me to stop at. And I asked, does this street, this 434, turn into Lee Road? And the guy didn't know. And he was just like, well, why don't you ask my uncle? He knows this area better. He's in some kind of lawn services truck outside. And I was just like, no. And I was just like, at that time, I'm tired. So I'm just, and I'm like, I'm patient. And he was like, he repeated it back to me to let me know how stupid I sounded. He was like, you're patient? And I was just like, yeah. He was like, oh, okay. And he just let it go. Like, okay, crazy lady, whatever, like, all right, it's cool. Not everybody's on the same level. And I understood that that's what he thought and he felt, but I just didn't have the time and resources to explain to him, meaning patient, meaning that I can wait until I get out there, because my feet are hurting. I can't be walking out to this car to talk to this person I don't know coming back. I can't do all of that. My feet are killing me. I didn't want to get into that with him. Yeah, and he was very nice, very kind, very sweet guy. And so basically, nobody really knew, and all I knew was this is what my direction said. And so I kept on walking. I walked straight. That road went, I don't know how many miles I walked down that road, but it was long. So then finally I got to the point where I'm just like, hey, I'm way up here. And I don't see, they told me I needed to turn on this avenue. I didn't see that avenue anywhere. So I stopped at this other gas station, and I saw a lady, that worked there. So I saw she had her phone in her hand. So I just asked her, I said, hey, do you mind telling me how to get to 434 from here. I got 434 and 443 confused. She started giving me the driving directions like everybody does. And I was like, no, if you don't mind to do me the favor of maybe if you're able to look it up on Google Maps, and that I would appreciate it. And she was starting to, some guy was looking at her because I guess he needed help and he was just having an attitude or whatever. And I was just like, oh, go ahead and help him. I can wait. So I waited for a while, and in my, patiently in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, every minute counts, and this could make me late. I don't know what to do. And so then she helps him. Then they had a little bit of a rush, so she had to help all these other people. So I stood there for like 20 minutes. And then finally, she came over and she started showing me the directions. This is, make a long story short. She started to put in the directions, and I didn't want to tell her immediately to look up the walking directions, because then there's going to be a whole conversation about that, which is going to lead to nothing but people talking about it and being nosy about it, and me being even later, and nothing's going to come of it. So I try to say it in a way that would make it known that, to try to avoid all of that. So when she looked at the directions, I said, can you do me a favor? Do you mind hitting the walking symbol? And she looked at me. The girl beside her looked at me, and and it was just, I was like, oh Lord, I had this feeling like, here it goes. Now we're going to get into this whole conversation that means absolutely nothing. That's not going to get me to where I need to go. And they're going to, just something for them to talk about for the rest of the day, while I'm going to be late to my interview because they want to talk about this. And, because it's just human nature. The brain doesn't tell you that, hey, this person's trying to get somewhere. And, even though it's interesting for me and incredulous to me, she doesn't have time. So, I said, if you don't mind, hit the walking button again. Everything paused. And then it took them a minute to digest it. And then the lady that was helping me, she was a light-skinned, tall lady, thick in posture, kind of like me thick. The other girl was a real skinny, one of those real skinny black girls with all the weaves and the big eyelashes and all of that. And she was a little salty. The girl that was helping me, the woman, you could tell she was a Christian, and a real Christian. There's a difference, but you could tell. But she, because there's not many of them left, but you can feel the presence and the light when they're there. So this woman, she just stops everything she does, and she puts her phone down, and she looks at me and kind of bends down and looks at me in my eyes, and just like, I forgot what she said now. I can think about it. She was like something like, you know, may I know the reason why you're walking? Why? And I was just like, well, to be honest with you, I really don't have a lot of time to explain it right now. Time is of the essence to me. If you don't mind to just hit the walking button so I can get the walking directions and write it down. If you want, you can leave me your number. I can text you my vlog, and you can, and and then you can just cheer me on, and that's it. And she was just like, and then she was just like, how much do you need to get on the bus? And I was just like, at that point, I'm just like, okay, So I opened my wallet, I dumped everything out, and I was like, this is what I have. I think it's like 450 or something. And then she was just like, oh, let me see if I can get that for you, and I'll just pay it back. So I'm thinking, okay. And at first I'm touched because I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And so I'm standing there, and I hate this because I'm all smiley and happy and determined and persevering. All of a sudden, my eyes start tearing up. The black girl, the dark-skinned black girl with the weave, is looking at me. This other woman, she's going around, and then I'm like, just like they were, she was in awe in the moment that I was like, hit the walk button. I was in awe in the moment where she's just like, well, let me see what I can get, And I'm standing there, so it took a minute for it to register. Then after a while, I'm like, hey, I don't have time for this. I didn't say that, but that's what I'm feeling. I'm like, okay, I've been standing here for like another 10 minutes now. I definitely do not have time for this. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be rude, but now I've done spent 30 minutes standing here, so now I'm really probably going to be late. I might still be able to make it. And she looks at it, and then when she comes back, she's like, I haven't forgotten you, whatever. And I was just like, well, I need to be there by 3 o'clock. So I was trying to hint, I'm going to go ahead and go if I can just write down the directions, because I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm standing here. I already made a method for me to get there. I'm standing here and I'm just waiting. And so she was just like, well, she looked up. She was like, well, according to this, it's going to take you about 5 hours to get there. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's 1 now. I'm not going to get there until like 6 o'clock. So I'm like, however I got off path, it took me, because I was walking, like I said, 5 hours. I should have been almost there, but it took me out of the way. And at that point, I'm just like, okay, I didn't have anything to say, but I'm just like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, just give me the directions. I'm going to go anywhere because this is what I said to do. I don't want to just stand here and just be ridiculed, which really, that's not her intention. Her intention is to help. But that's just the nature of different types of people. It's a work environment, regardless of the type of environment. And it's just people are just nasty like that. So, like I said, the dark skinned girl, again, the type of girl that I envision as being a hood rat girl, the type of people that I generally don't I mean, honestly, not my type of people. I don't like those types of people. But it's the same kind of girl that when I got my phone and stuff stolen, she was like, "Oh, you should have jumped on her and beat her, such and such and such." No, for what? I'm 40 years old. Yeah, no, but we're not doing that. So I've never been that type of person. I never will be. It's okay. So then she goes back, and I guess she's talking to other people in the back, and she's trying to be discreet. Then some old white guy comes out that, he looks like he's got to be 50 or 60, but he's playing the teenager role. He comes out and he's like, well, he said some snide comment, and he went back to, hiding in the back where I guess they're chatting and whatever they're doing. So she goes around different places, and she's like sincerely and genuinely, trying to help. And I'm appreciating it, but I'm just like, I don't want to stand here and have all these different people just talking about me. You know what I mean? When I need to be on my way to this interview. I don't have time for that. So she goes to this final place, and then she comes over to me. Some other girl comes out the back and she says, "Who are you waiting for?" And I was just like, I'm already being helped. There's a young lady helping me. She was like, "Who is she? What is her name?" And I was like, I don't, to be honest, I don't know her name. And she said, "Is it such and such?" She said, "This person's name." And I was like, to be honest with you, I don't know her name, you know? And I described her, and I'm just, stupid me. I'm not understanding. There's a reason for her question. I'm just answering because I want her to leave me alone, but she's keeping on. And so she's asking because I guess when the girl went to ask for stuff, she was trying to be discreet, so they were trying to find out who it was she was talking about. That's what it was. And I guess they noticed I haven't seen her in there a while. So the girl comes over to me, and at this point I'm like, the other woman comes over and she sees the woman questioning me, and that's why she came over. And she was just like, "Oh, so you're really smart." And I was just like, "Look, and I told her, and I just looked at her sincerely, not addressing other people because they were just rude. I looked at her, I said, "This is why I don't like to ask people." This is why I try to keep my personal. I'm just trying to get to this place from point A to point B. I made my plans. I'm a very healthy person. I've set plans and agenda to do so. And, when you get other people involved, everybody doesn't have the same spirit that you do. And I don't need any type of negativity because, again, and they're asking, like, how far did I walk from already? I don't need that type of negativity because I need to focus on getting where I'm going. Even if I don't hear it personally, I don't need it. I don't need the negativity. And that's why I don't typically like doing that. And so she presented to me whatever the amount for the bus. And I was just like, and I gave her what I had. She was like, "No, no, no, keep it." And I was like, "No, you keep it because there may be somebody else just like me that happens through. Put it in your apron. This way, the next time you don't have to get all these other people involved that really don't have any type of interest except negative. You have it there." And she kept trying to push me with it. And I was like, "Well, let me take a picture of the bus direction." So I tried to take a picture with my phone, and I wanted to get the heck out, because I'm trying to just get there immediately. Because I know that when I get there, I'm going to have to change clothes, freshen up, get my mind and my spirit together. So I'm not coming in like I'm just frantic. You know what I'm saying? So then as I'm leaving, I'm like, I don't even know where the bus stop is. So, like I said, I took a picture of the bus thing. And so I looked at the picture, and it was so dark I couldn't see it because it took a flash. But I'm like, I'm not going back in there again because I spent enough time in that store. So I went out and I went around. There was like a pharmacy. So I asked the people at the pharmacy, "Hey," and the girl could tell that I wanted to ask a question, and she was just like, "Yes." And again, mostly homogenous white people. But the younger people are more diverse. But the girl was just like, "Yeah, can I help?" She was still helping her other customer, but she could sense my feeling of urgency. So she was just like, "Can I help you with something?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Do you know how to catch the bus here? Do you know where?" And she was just like, "No." And I was like, "Do you have any coworkers?" And I was like, "Does anybody work here that know how to catch the bus?" And she was like, "Well, some of our employees do." And I was like, "Is it?" No, I said, "Is there a bus that comes here at all?" She was just like, "Well, some of our employees do catch the bus to work." And I said, "Are any of those employees here today?" There was an old white man there, and I could tell he felt a certain way about me asking that. But I needed to. I needed to catch the bus. I needed to get to this place. Somebody provided me with the funds to do so. So I guess a younger, again, another 20 to 30-year-old manager came out, white guy, and she says, "Hey, do you know the bus stop is?" And he was like, "Sure," and he walked me to the front and showed me, and the bus was just coming out. And so, ironically, I have to continue this.